Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Christy Learns to Sketch. In another video, I talk about how I forgot to record this video and then I found this video. So there is another video where you can see me coloring in this sketch. But this video is me inking the pencil sketch. So if you'd like to watch that, stick around. So in this video, I already went through and did my pencil sketch. I know there are some people, like for instance, the course that I took through Domestika, it's called Expressive Architecture Sketching. You can find it at the link below. It helped me figure out helped me learn how to sketch and learn how to use my alcohol markers. But in that one, they do a lot of freehand sketching. I'm not great at freehand sketching. That's why this series is called Christy Learns to Sketch and not Christy is Amazing at Sketching. So in this video, I did the pencil sketch because I find that when I don't do a pencil sketch first, I tend to really mess up the proportion. So until I develop an eye for proportions, this is what I'm going to be doing. So I'm using a micron pen. When I do sketches, I usually use a 005 micron pen for the first bit, and then I'll go in sometimes and add some shadows with the 03 or 01, depending on how thick I want that line to be. But in this one, I believe I'm only using 005, but I know I'm only using one size. This was one of the first sketches that I did as a custom sketch for a vehicle. So I was pretty excited to do this one. And I really took my time making sure it looked the way that I wanted it to look. That's why I'm moving a little bit slow. As I've learned to sketch, my sketching has gotten a little bit faster and a little bit looser. When I first started sketching, as in this video here, I was very worried about having straight lines and perfect lines. But the further I get along in my sketching, the more I just enjoy those super loose lines. So here I'm just doing the fender, making sure that it looks good. In this video too, I've never done spokes before on any sort of wheel, and I'm still learning how to do wheels and making sure that they look good. So I'm referring to the reference image. You'll see here that I don't completely finish the wheel because I'm trying an effect where the wheel is sort of open on the one side. It's something that I learned from the gentleman that I follow. You can find him on Instagram under at homesketcher. I think it's housketcher. Sorry, I have a terrible memory. Anyways, he is the one that runs the Domestika course that I learned everything that I know from. Well, not everything that I know. You get the idea. Anyways, so I saw him post some motorcycles that he sketched that have sort of an open wheel with like some dotting and some, loose alcohol marker. And I tried that out here and I didn't really like it. So you can see that in the other video if you want to see how I did it and how I messed it up and then how I fixed it. So here I'm just working on the wheels. And you can see me sort of backing up going, how am I going to do these spokes? I find spokes to be a little bit challenging. I'm still working out how I'm going to do them, even to this day. So I have not done a ton of motorcycle sketches. But something I have learned on my journey of sketching, and I still get a lot of requests for commissions as soon as I started posting. So a little backstory, I took the Domestika course, Expressive Architecture Sketching, and I sketched a local church and posted it in a local Facebook group and immediately started getting a flood of requests for custom images. So that was sort of a fluke. I took it and my intention was to only ever sketch for myself for fun and not to, I have a tendency to try to turn everything into a business of some kind. So my plan was just to make that be something that was fun for me to do. And I got a flood of requests for commissions. So I've been doing commissions ever since, and I was regularly posting all over the place, and then I stopped, and I'm still getting requests for commissions almost daily. So yeah, so put yourself out there, because it'll pay off. So anyways, lost my train of thought. The ADHD does that sometimes. Sorry, I'm just rambling. But anyways, I'm sketching this video. I'm fixing my pencil sketch here, because I just want to make sure that what I'm doing represents the proper dimension. So sometimes you'll see me go in and do erase something that I've already done and fix up the pencil sketch, just to make sure my lines, even when I'm doing loose lines, oftentimes I'll do at least a loose pencil sketch just to make sure I have the proportions right. And I think it'll be a while until I can eyeball proportions of things, because I haven't been sketching for too long. And I'm really blown away at how much I learned inside that Domestica course. It's they help you with it's basically, if you've never sketched, like I never sketched anything before this. I've painted with acrylics, but it's always been sort of abstract, never actual sketching. So my sketches have always been kind of goofy, or, little characters or whatever, and just nothing real serious. And then I took that course, and I got all the tools that I needed to do this. So it really has changed my life. I know that seems odd for a little, $10 course, but it really did change everything for me. So now I love sketching every day. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. We are looking at a sketch here. There's just not really a lot to talk about when we're talking about sketches. I did the pencil sketch to get the proportions right. That's the part that I find to be the hardest, is getting the actual pencil sketch, getting the proportions right. That's the part that I usually takes the longest for me. So all in all, this sketch, so this video is about 18 minutes long, and the other one where I color it in is about 35 minutes long. And then the pencil sketch probably took me about half an hour to do as well. So that gives you an idea of how long it took me to do all of this sketch start to finish. This is a little 5x7. I am using watercolor paper here. However, I don't know that watercolor paper is a great idea for any sort of alcohol marker. I have noticed that it does soak up the marker and dries them out fairly quickly, and with the cost of Copic refills, I'm going to likely be switching over to a sort of Bristol paper instead. But for some of these videos, you'll see me using watercolor paper, because that's just what I started using. In my mind, it made sense because watercolor and Copic markers look very similar. And I honestly didn't know what to do. I did try a bunch of different papers. I tried marker paper. I tried, I actually did a test where I tried out all these different papers just to see what I liked. So I had Bristol board, I had marker paper, watercolor paper, and a few different other types of paper. I really did not like the marker paper. It just looks really bad. Bristol seemed to be kind of the perfect paper for Copic markers or any sort of alcohol marker, because it doesn't soak up, but the surface is nice and flat. I find some of these watercolor papers have a bit of a texture, and it's hard to sketch, like it's hard to get a consistent look on the sketch. I mean, that is a look that you could go for, that sort of rough look, but if the paper's not flat, then it's hard to sketch with Copics, because they do require a flat surface, so, or any sort of alcohol marker. I do like Ohuhu. You will see me use Ohuhu once in a while, but in this sketch specifically, I believe I'm only using Copic markers. I try to use Copics when I do commissions, because I don't know, something in my brain says you should be using Copics because they're expensive. But you will see me use other alcohol markers. I do like Ohuhu is a good brand as well. So here you can see I'm just going in and adding in the little details. I do find this part of sketching a motorcycle to be equally a lot of fun and also very challenging, because all motorcycles are very similar, but they're all different proportions. They all have different engines. They all have different wires going in all different directions. They all have different pipes. So it's, it's kind of like a human face where you're looking at, they all kind of have the same parts, but they're all in different proportions. So you can see me going really slow here because I'm referencing the image, and something that I'm doing with proportions that I do a lot is I sort of set out the basic proportions where I find the biggest thing in the photo, and draw the biggest thing, and then I draw everything around it in proportion to that biggest thing. So, or I'll sketch one thing in the photo and the next thing I draw in proportion. So you can see if I'm looking, to give you an example, if I'm looking at the reference photo here, I might be looking at this fender and say, okay, well, the hydraulic or the bar that leads up to the seat there goes right to the middle of the seat. So I might say, okay, well, the seat goes to just about here, or, the pipe below it would go just past it, but not quite past the wheel. So, I'm looking at things in proportion to one another. That really has helped me get better at doing proportions. So even just yesterday I was out sketching, and I don't have a video of this one, so I don't mind talking about it here, but and I really messed up the proportion of a home. And then I went, you know what, I gotta just look at where things are in relation to one another. So then I fixed, it was the porch. I had made it too short, so I made it longer, and then the proportions worked out just fine. So if you look at how things are in relation to one another, so, if you're struggling with where to put the wheel, then maybe you could draw the pipe first, and then, draw the wheel behind the pipe. Or you could do the gas tank, and then, the gas tank and the headlight and the handlebars, and then you could say, okay, well, this goes at, or the front bars go at this angle, and then the wheel would be just below the gas tank, around where the pipe is, so you can sort of use other things in the photo to gauge where things should be. And that's really something that took me a while to learn how to do, like naturally, without having to think about it. So here I'm starting to work on the spokes, and you can see me kind of going, how am I going to do this? And I stared at those spokes for a little while before I figured out, so you can see me going in here, and I do one side and then the other side, because the spokes do come out at a strange angle from the center of the wheel. So you can see me doing that here. I'm doing one side, because if I do them together, I always end up messing it up. So so I haven't measured or anything, because this is supposed to be sort of a loose sketch. So I'm just going in and adding them this side, and then you'll probably see me turn the page here and go to the other side. So just adding in the final spoke there for the one side, and then I'm going, how do I do this? So I think here I'm just trying to figure out where to start. So seeing like how the spokes cross one another to make sure that it doesn't look stupid. So this was the first time I did spokes, and something I think we struggle with as newer artists is worrying about whether or not we can do something. So I have a couple of ways of looking at that. I always tell my clients if I've not done something before, and I say, it might take me a little bit longer, but I can do this. And there's an aspect of, do you want to do it? You don't have to say yes to everything. I have I do something that's called outpricing or I don't want to say overpricing, but if it's something that I really don't want to do but also am willing to do, I will price it high enough that or non-resentment pricing, I think they call it, so that if they do pay me for it, I don't resent them because it's not something I really want to do. So I've had people reach out to me to do big like door murals or things like that, where I've priced them more than I would for a normal sketch of something that I normally do, just because it's way out of my comfort zone. I don't really want to do it. It's not really, I would have to buy all different paints and all different supplies to do it. So, I price it accordingly based on, how much extra money I have to spend, how much time I have to spend learning that specific strategy, that sort of thing. So anyway, I'm getting off topic again. Here I'm doing the spokes again, but I did them once, so I have an idea of how they'll work. So it's a little bit faster this time because I know how to do them. So yeah, if you want to see the video of how I mess up the front wheel, no, I'm kidding. If you want to see the video of how I color in the sketch and how I fix up that front wheel, because I did technically, I don't want to say I messed it up, but it was something I didn't really like how it turned out, so I ended up fixing it, and I actually offered her a new sketch, because this was when I first started sketching, and I really just didn't like how it turned out, but I did fix it, and I think I like how it turned out. But I did tell her, and she was like, oh my god, I love it. So I wasn't really all that worried about it at the end. So yeah. So here I'm just turning it because it's so much easier to go with the movement of your wrists when you're sketching. So here I'm just adding in some final little details to make sure everything looks good. You can see me, like when I sit back, my hand kind of goes out. I'm just sitting back and going and looking at it to make sure there aren't any missing details. So if you like this video, or if you have any comments, something you don't like, if you don't like my ramblings, if you want more ramblings, if you want more stories, let me know what you like in the comments, and I really want this video series to be helpful for you. So let me know what you think, and I hope you like it. Thanks for sticking around, and make sure you follow for more. Bye.